Welcome to the Front-End Web Development cohort. This is the free training organized by Tech Baby alongside tutors like myself and others. And this is the Front-End Web Development cohort. This is part 1 of the video. I have uploaded lesson 2. Okay, this is lesson 1. I have uploaded lesson 2 with its other part. So lesson 2 is complete. So let's just get into it. Our prerequisites for this cohort. On the left, we have the rules for my class, but since this is not a live class, we're going to neglect that. So we're going to have our onboarding, installation and setup, understanding the web, and then introduction to HTML. For the onboarding, we're going to talk about the expectations and what front-end is all about. Now, when it comes to tech overall, nobody is a magician and nobody can make you a great developer overnight. It takes time, it takes hard work to be good at whatever you decide you want to be good at. Another thing you should have in mind is tech is not a quick money scheme. So if you came into the space thinking, oh, in 3 months you start earning in dollars, I'm sorry, but they sold delusion to you. That dream is achievable, but it takes time. So when you come into tech, don't come with the mindset of I'm going to start earning after 3 months. In 3 months, you can still be battling with JavaScript. In 3 months, you can still be battling with CSS. So be good, stay dedicated to learning, show up, and don't get scammed. Nobody can make you a great developer in 3 months. You cannot be a great developer in 6 months. Another thing is when it comes to cohorts training, what we do as instructors is that we teach you the basics and then you build upon it. We help you to understand the foundation and then you build upon it by showing up, learning on your own, building projects. That is what cohorts, that is what instructors and tutors can do for you. So don't expect anybody to make you a senior coder overnight. No, it is a gradual process and tech is an ever-evolving space. Okay, so stay updated, be committed to learning and showing up. So let's get into it. What is front-end development and what do you do as a front-end developer? Front-end development is all about building the part of the website or web application that users directly interact with. When I go to the YouTube interface, okay, when I go to the YouTube interface, all these things I can see, all these things I can click, all these things I can interact with. This is the power of front-end. This is the power of front-end development. As a front-end developer, what you do is build a part of websites or web applications that users directly interact with, also known as the clients. Okay, it is the client side of the web. It is the client side of the web. Everything you see and click on in your browser. So as a front-end developer, this is what you do. You build the interface users interact with. A front-end developer works with different tools, but the building block of web development is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These three tools, these are the building blocks of front-end web development. To be a good developer, you have to be good at the foundation. You need to know your foundation properly. In any skill you are going to learn, make sure you don't skip the foundation. Do not rush the foundation. Okay, so HTML, CSS, JavaScript, these are the building blocks of front-end web development. So for our installation and setup, We are going to be using Visual Studio Code as the IDE, and then for those that want to use online IDE, an IDE is an integrated development environment. This is a platform that allows you to write code, test code, debug. Okay, this is the platform that allows developers to build. For those that will be using an online IDE, you can use CodePen. Just search CodePen, it's going to come up. So you can create an account with them and then you can start. So I'm just going to do a quick tour of the CodePen interface. So once you have your account, you're going to have an interface like this. So you can create a new pen here. I'm just going to open this CodePen from the unrecorded class. So once you create your new pen, you're going to see 3 tabs like this. One for HTML, one for CSS, and one for JavaScript. Since we'll be working with HTML in this tutorial, so you'll be writing in this HTML tab. Okay, and then for those that will be using Visual Studio, just go on your browser and download Visual Studio Code and search Visual Studio Code. You're going to see something like this. You can install it via the Microsoft App Store, or you can install it through the web. So I'm just going to put a link to Visual Studio Code installation because I am unable to do it since I already have the app. So you can pause this video, watch the video in the description, and then you can continue. Now, if you're at this part of the tutorial, I believe you have successfully installed Visual Studio Code. And once you're done installing it, the next thing for you to do is to create a project folder. I will come to my desktop and I will create a folder. I'll create a folder called tests. And I will head over to my Visual Studio Code. I'll head over to my Visual Studio Code and then I'll open the folder. Over here, open folder. I created my own folder in desktop. If you create your own folder in documents, please navigate to documents and select that folder. But for me, I'll be going to desktop. Remember, I named my folder test, so I'll be selecting this test folder. Now, once I've selected the folder, I can see that it is successfully opened because I'll click over here. Now, after successfully opening the folder, what I want you to do is I want you to head over to extensions. You can see this tab on the left. The last icon, look for live server. This live server. You can see this with the purple icon. So you have to install it and then you enable it. Once you enable it, then you can go back to your file and we'll start coding. Now in our folder, the folder is empty. So let's create a file. Every file must have an extension for web development or for any programming language you want to write. It must have an extension. That extension is what tells the IDE what you are trying to build or what kind of program you are trying to write. Now we want to create an HTML file. So the file we'll create will end with .html. I will name my file index. So index.html. You can see index.html. So once you have this, then our setup is ready. Now that our setup is ready, before we write our first HTML or before we view it in the web, let's understand what the web is. For you to create on the web, you need to understand what the web is. The web, or the World Wide Web, is a system of interconnected documents and resources that live on the internet. And the internet is a network that connects every computer worldwide. So everything on the web is connected. It is a system of interconnected documents and resources that lives on the internet. We can access these documents and resources using browsers like Chrome, Edge, Safari, Firefox, etc. These documents are often written in HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language. The full meaning of HTML is Hypertext Markup Language, and this is the standard language used to create structured web pages. Okay, so now that we have this, let's look at what goes on behind the scenes when you search for something in your browser. If I open a new tab right now, I'll open a new tab right now and I'll search W3 schools. What actually happens? How is the computer able to recognize what I am looking for and give it back to me? So that is what we are doing right now. That is what we are going to look at right now. Now, here's the process. You, which is the client, you type a web address called a URL in your browser. You can see, even though I searched for W3 schools in a search bar, you can see up here there's a URL. There's a URL, there's a link. When you search for something in your browser, the browser will still turn it to a web address, which is a URL. Now, once that URL is sent, the browser will send a request over the internet. Remember, the internet is a network that connects computers all over the world. Everyone who has a phone, we are all connected by the internet. So the browser will send a request over the internet using a protocol called HTTPS. This HTTPS protocol, it what governs the communication between the client, which is you, and a server. I'll get to what a server is now. Now, a server, which is a computer somewhere in the world, it receives your request. Remember, I searched for W3 schools. So the server will now receive my request. I am looking that this user is looking for W3 schools. So it will search, look for the results of W3 schools, and then once it gets it, it will send it back to me. Okay, it will send it back to me, and it is usually HTML files, CSS, JavaScript, and images. And when you look at this, you can see we have HTML in place, we have CSS, which gives the colors, the styling, and JavaScript that causes some interaction, probably like this one. So it gets my request, it looks for it, and then it sends it back to me. And then my browser will receive the files that the server sends, and then it will display it beautifully on my screen. And that is how I am able to see this web page that I just searched for.